Your birthday shows up, and instead of feeling anything, you notice how little you feel at all. No anticipation, no disappointment, just a quiet sense that the day will pass whether you acknowledge it or not. On the surface, that sounds mature, grounded, unbothered. But psychologically, that response didn't come from nowhere. Birthdays bring time into focus. They quietly measure distance between who you were, who you hoped to be, and who you are now. And how we respond says a lot about how we've learned to move through the world. For some people, birthdays stopped being special a long time ago. They learned to regulate expectations early. They remember caring once, looking forward to it, expecting something to happen. And then, it didn't. Maybe people forgot. Maybe plans fell through. Maybe the effort wasn't matched. Over time, the mind adjusts, not dramatically, subtly. Hope becomes risky. Anticipation feels exposed, so expectations get quieter. Not because the day doesn't matter, but because caring started to feel expensive. Neutrality becomes safer. Indifference becomes a kind of protection. From the outside, it looks like maturity. But inside, it's often a learned calm. A way of saying, if I don't hope too much, I won't be disappointed. But for others, the reason is different. They're not emotionally avoidant, they're overwhelmed. Life moves fast. Work deadlines stack up. Responsibilities blur the weeks together. The mind stays focused on what's urgent, not what's symbolic. So the birthday comes and goes without emotional weight, not ignored, just absorbed into everything else. It's not that they don't know it's their birthday. It's that their attention has been trained to stay forward-facing. There's always something next, something to manage, something to handle. In that state, celebration can feel unnecessary, even inconvenient. The day doesn't stand out because nothing is standing still long enough for it to land. Then, there are those for whom birthdays simply stopped carrying meaning. They're not avoiding the day. They're not overwhelmed. They just don't feel the need to mark it. For them, validation no longer comes from attention, plans, or recognition. Their sense of worth has shifted inward. They don't need one day to feel alive or valued because that feeling isn't tied to the calendar anymore. This isn't emotional detachment, it's emotional self-sufficiency. They might enjoy acknowledgement if it comes, but they don't wait for it. Their satisfaction comes from alignment, from living days that feel honest, steady, and true, whether anyone is watching or not. And then there's another layer that often goes unnoticed. For some people, birthdays trigger reflection more than joy. They don't make a big deal out of the day because the day feels like a mirror. It quietly asks questions they're not always ready to answer. Where am I compared to where I thought I'd be? What changed this year? What didn't? So instead of celebrating outwardly, they turn inward. The day becomes quieter, more neutral, less performative. Not because it doesn't matter, but because it matters too much to rush past with cake and noise. What all these perspectives share is this. Treating your birthday like a normal day is rarely about not caring. It's about how someone has learned to relate to time, attention, and themselves. Sometimes it's protection, sometimes it's exhaustion, sometimes it's independence, sometimes it's reflection. And often, it's more than one at once. There's something deeply symbolic about birthdays. They're the one day that exists simply because you exist. Not because of what you've achieved, not because of who you're useful to, just because you're here. As we get older, that symbolism changes. When you're young, birthdays are about being celebrated by the world. When you're older, they're about whether you recognize yourself. Less about candles, more about presence, less about who shows up, more about how much of you showed up for your own life this year. That's why the excitement fades. Not always because joy disappears, but because meaning deepens. And yet, even the most grounded, self-sufficient people still carry a quiet truth. They may not need fireworks, but warmth still matters. Being remembered still matters, not in loud ways, in small ones. A message, a call, a moment that says, I see you. So if your birthday feels ordinary now, there's nothing wrong with you. It doesn't mean you're ungrateful or detached. It means you've learned that meaning doesn't always need an audience. But it's also okay to feel the echo of what birthdays used to be, to miss the ease of excitement, to remember the version of yourself who once counted down the days. You don't need one day to prove that your life matters, but if someone remembers, let them. And if the day passes quietly, honor that too. Sometimes, the most meaningful celebrations are the ones no one else can see.